Hello and welcome to the Yoga Home Practice Challenge, the move on from the Corona Yoga Challenge. And today is day 106. And here, it just so happens I've got two of these cases, 284,267. However, on day 100, there were 310 cases, 250 in the UK. So miraculously, we've gone down 16,000 cases. I don't think that's possible. So, some questions to ask. I am here to you today wearing the t-shirt. Yes, Eat, Sleep, Yoga, Repeat Corona Yoga Challenge t-shirt. And, as well as that, which is on the shop, should you be interested, I've got the little book here. It actually came and it's totally gorgeous. And I've started filling it out for myself. It's so childish. Amazing. So I'm going to start. If you want to bring yourself onto your back, because we're going to do normal yoga just like you did for the first 100 days just now. And then when you see guided at the end, that means it's going to be a kind of more home practice freestyle. And when you see deep dive, it's going to be really intense on the pose. So on each of the weeks, it's got like the pose that we're going to do and the adaptations and modifications, variations that you can do. So that week, we're going to be focusing on that one pose so that you can really get to grips with it and really start to make it your own. And we're going to start today by coming onto your back. So if you want to bring yourself to lying down, you're going to have your knees bent up and they're going to be just a little bit off the floor to start with. You're going to let your hands come wide and onto the floor. And then you're going to let your knees ease from one side to the other side. So a smallish movement where we're rocking over the lower back with the knees just allowing them to move freely, but keeping a feeling of really good contact between the balls of the feet on the floor. So we're not lifting the feet up and off the floor at all. You're going to bring your knees back to the centre. You're going to bring your knees up and over your chest, and then you're going to bring your knees in towards you and away. So nice, smooth, steady movement. And then if you settle your feet onto the floor, but you're going to be right the way up on the balls of your feet, I'm just going to move a tiny bit so that you can actually get a proper view of what's going to be going on next. So from lying on the floor with the balls of the feet on the floor, the heels lifting up so you get that feeling of aliveness coming up through the legs, you're going to let your hands come up and overhead and you're going to relax your shoulders wide and onto the floor so that your shoulders feel relaxed, the upper back feels relaxed too. So from here, you're going to press down into your feet to lift up with your hips to come into bridge pose. So it's a feeling of staying wide and soft through the back of the body and a little bit of alertness and liveliness through the hips and the thighs. And then you're going to uncurl, settle your hips down and onto the floor. And from here, you're just going to take one hand into the other hand. So you've got your hands kind of mildly crossed over. So you'll find that one shoulder sits slightly differently on the floor than the other one. Press down through the feet, lift up with the hips, spread down and wide across the shoulders. And enjoy that feeling of being a little bit upside down, so being inverted. And then gently sink your hips down into the floor. Settle them down, let your heels come down for a moment, let your toes come up and give them a little move around, and then settle your feet onto the floor. We're going to swap our hands over so the other hand is going to be over the top. We're going to come up and onto the balls of the feet again, and you're going to walk your feet in towards you, and then you're going to press down through the feet to lift up through the hips. You're going to spread wide through the shoulders, slightly wide through the elbows, and breathe. So again, you'll notice you're slightly asymmetrical through the shoulders because of the hands. Just notice how that has changed on one side to the other side compared to for you. And then slowly uncurl. So slowly slide your hips back down and onto the ground. Settle the hips down. And then bring your knees up and over your chest. And you're going to give them a really nice close hug in. And you're going to let your knees rock from one side to the other side. And then we're going to come up to standing from here, so you can come up a way that you'd like. I'm going to roll onto my side and then bring myself up. And we're going to come up through a standing forward bend once you get to more or less sitting. So you're going to lift up with your hips, soften through your knees, get a feeling of starting to lengthen up through the back of your legs. And then bend through your knees considerably, lift up through the pelvic floor, up through the hips, up through the hands, all the way up and overhead, and back and down to your heart. So we're going to come to a balancing pose, so just make sure that you have got enough space around you, and also make sure that you've got something you can take your hand onto to keep yourself nice and secure. So you can have your hand on the support to start with, so that you can just get that feeling of lifting up with your back leg. And you could take a belt around your foot, or you could take hold of your trouser leg or your ankle, and you're imagining that your knee is extending down and towards the floor. And then your free hand is going to come up and overhead, so we get that lifting up feeling. And then bring yourself back down, settle the feet onto the floor. We're going to come to the opposite side. So you're going to bring your foot in, take your hand onto the support so you get the feeling of what we need to do with the back leg, and then let your free hand come up and overhead. Stay nice and steady and rooted down through your foot, the foot that's on your floor. And then bring yourself down, settle both feet down. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at the connection between the opposite sides. So you're going to bring your knee up, and now what we're going to do is going to do this dynamically a couple of times. Actually let your knee come down. Can you let your hand come up? And then bring them back towards one another. And then out. And then again, so you're finding that diagonal connection, that cross-crawl connection through the body. And then when you feel settled and happy, you're just going to ease yourself slightly forwards. So shoulders stay nice and relaxed, and the elbow on the hand that's holding your foot, you can just gently angle it away from the back of your waist. And then let your foot come down, let your hand come down, settle through the sides, get spreading back into the back of the body. And then we'll come to the opposite side. So you're going to bring your knee up, and then as we take the knee down, we're going to let the other hand come up. Bring the knee and the elbow towards one another, and back out, and again. So we're finding the opposite diagonal now. And then this time, just let your body extend out. Start to get the feeling of the back elbow moving slightly away from the back of the waist. Tip yourself just slightly forwards, so that you're very much in your own space. And then bring yourself up, release down with your legs, settle onto the floor. We're going to come down to sitting now. So if you start with both legs just comfortably out in front, you're going to take your knees to one side, and then from the knees on the side, you're just going to take one leg far away round the back. So for you, it might be just a little movement of the knees. It might be that it's thigh to arch of the foot. It might be that it's more just let it happen and let the legs do what they need to feel comfortable here. So you can see that my front knee wants to come up a little, so I'm going, yeah, fine. And what's happening around the back is this, the top leg is extending round the back somewhere. And we want to stay slightly rooted and grounded down through both sides of the hips so that we're nice and settled there. And then you're going to move in towards your feet. So you can just take your hands onto the soles of your feet and gently shrug down through the shoulders to bring yourself round. Bring yourself back to the centre and to the opposite side. And then bring yourself to the centre. We're going to come to the opposite side, so take that back leg, fold it over the other one, and then bring them both to the opposite side. And then same thing from here, you're just going to take your top leg, slide your leg back and away to wherever it would like to come to. Start to root and ground down through the pelvis, so we start in with the torso coming straight up. And then you're going to move yourself round towards your feet to start with. So you can just let one hand come onto each foot and gently get that feeling of spiraling around through the tummy whilst you stay rooted and grounded down through the pelvis. Bring yourself back to the centre and towards your knee. And then bring yourself back to even. And what we're going to do is just bring yourself to a comfortable sitting position. So just however you would like to sit for a little bit of breathing. So what we're going to do with our breathing today is we're just going to focus on allowing the exhale to get nice and long. So you're going to go at your pace, so you're going to breathe in, and as you breathe out, just nice, steady, easy, long exhale. Each time you breathe in, that lovely new breath comes and wakens you up. And then let it go, ease it away. Come back to that quieter place. So you can think of it almost that process of when a plant kind of wakens up towards the sun in the morning, and then some of them just kind of quieten away as the night comes. So we've got the inhale and the exhale. So just going at your own pace. So I've not been able to give you a challenge all week because we've been on home practice, and hopefully you've been finding your own challenges. But now I get to give you a challenge. And my challenge has got to be something mad. My challenge is go find something wacky to put on and put on some super music. So try and get something that fits together in what you've decided to put on and the music you've chosen. So I'm thinking about this slightly mad 60s, 70s full-length dress that I've got. It's kind of red and weird stuff all over it and tight, but it's crazy. But it's very, very good for a Mexican party. I don't know why, but it is. So I'm thinking that would be an ideal thing for me, were I to be wanting to do a good old Mexican dance around my living room. That would be the dress I will be wearing. So I hope you find something similarly enjoyable that gives you a little lift and a little giggle. And now my quote for the day. My quote for the day comes from Vanda Scaravelli, Awakening the Spine, rather nice book. In fact, it's one of these books I really like. There's loads of lovely pictures, plus some description, but I'm quite a picture person myself. I think that a picture tells 1,000, what is it? It says 1,000 words. Picture? Photo, isn't it, normally? Anyways, I think a picture can be really, really helpful. This is a quote that's just randomly in the book, but I really quite like it. It's by St. Paul. We must make this corruptible body incorruptible. We must make this corruptible body incorruptible. And I like it because often we think that the body somehow is going to lead us astray or tell us to do the wrong thing, or I don't know what. But there's this idea that like we're not quite clean enough, good enough, whatever. And I quite like that idea that, because incorruptible, we're incorruptible anyway, surely. And it's not about the body. Anyway, it's just one of those quotes that just makes me think lots of thoughts. And I like thinking those thoughts. And I like thinking about the role of the body and how we see it and how we see ourselves within it. I'm a great believer that the body can tell us all sorts of truths if we are willing to listen, and that it can guide us as well. And of course we can overrun it and decide that we're going to do things our way, with our minds. And sometimes that will work, which is why we do it. And sometimes it will lead us astray. So the beauty of going inwards and finding out where you are. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful week. On Monday, which is day 108, we'll be doing the deep dive, and we will be doing, we will be moving on to Parsvottanasana. So, I hope you have great time. Thank you.